Incredible twist, when two twin girls shared their last sandwich, 3 SUVs revealed a life-changing surprise. Emma and Grace were hungry, a feeling that became all too familiar since their grandmother fell ill. The twins shared a single sandwich between them on the worn-down park bench, a simple peanut butter and jelly that symbolized the unbreakable bond they had nurtured since birth. With their mother working double shifts, it was up to them to help care for their grandmother. The laughter of other kids echoed around them, a bittersweet reminder of what they longed for. Those kids rushed through life with shiny sneakers and endless lunch bags, while Emma and Grace persevered, fueled by the hope of a better tomorrow. With the end of summer approaching, the school's charity event loomed large, promising a chance to showcase their dance skills. "We have to do this, Grace. This is our moment," Emma exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with determination. Dancing was an escape, it let them forget their struggles, if only for a moment. Yet, every time they practiced, doubt slipped in, much like the thin slices of their shared sandwich. Just before rehearsals, they would glance longingly at their affluent classmates, those glitzy girls twirling in vibrant outfits that sparkled from resources unknown to them, making the twins feel small. As the actual event approached, their hearts raced. When they peered out from behind the curtain on the stage, an unsettling sight filled their view. 3 gleaming SUVs rolled up to the school entrance. The crowd parted for an influx of affluent sponsors, dressed in designer clothes, while the twins felt the weight of judgment bearing down on them. "Do they even understand our world?" Grace whispered, her voice trembling. It was then that their grandmother's legacy came crashing down on them like a wave. Among old boxes of pictures and trinkets, they uncovered heartbreaking stories, times when hunger ruled their days and love ruled their nights. Each sacrifice, each tear told of hardship but also resilience. The twins found courage blooming inside them, an ember of strength ignited by their grandmother's spirit. Fueled with newfound confidence, they took a breath and rallied their classmates. "We're not just here to perform. We're here to tell a story. A story of courage and love." Doubts faded to the background as their peers listened, captivated. Conversation sparked and spread like wildfire, igniting compassion that had been buried under layers of privilege. The moment of truth arrived, and as they stepped onto the stage, the tension was palpable. The spotlight caught Emma's eye, a single tear glistened as she realized the weight of the community's gaze. Their rhythm and movement transformed into an anthem of hope, reverberating through their small school auditorium. Just as recognition began to bloom, a sudden silence fell. Glances shifted towards the sponsors, who sat in judgment and confusion. Would their voices be heard? Emma and Grace locked eyes, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through them. They had come too far to shrink in the face of misunderstanding. In that frozen moment, could they truly change the perception of worth among their peers? As the crowd held its breath, the twins prepared to confront the truth that lay ahead, one that would challenge not just them, but everyone around them. The music swelled, a vibrant wave that washed over the audience, pulling them in. Emma and Grace exchanged a quick glance, an unspoken promise glittering in their eyes. It was now or never. The moment seized them, empowering them to dance with every fiber of their beings. With a single leap, they launched into the routine they had practiced for countless hours. Every movement was a brushstroke on the canvas of their story. They spun and twirled, their bodies breathing life into the struggles etched in their hearts. As they moved, they could feel the energy rising from the crowd, the initial skepticism giving way to intrigue. The twins danced as if they owned the stage, filled with purpose and a message that surged through their every step. The story unfolded, moments of joy, strands of hardship, threads of hope. They depicted a life where love triumphed over adversity, where laughter echoed amidst the chaos of life's challenges. The audience was transfixed. Emma noticed a father lean closer to his daughter, a frown replaced by a smile. Grace's eyes caught a girl in the second row, who had dropped her pretzel in her lap, her gaze fully focused on the twins. It felt exhilarating and terrifying. All at once, suddenly, a shout broke through the film of silence that had cloaked them. "You girls are amazing!" A voice yelled from the back. A ripple of applause started, hesitant at first, but then grew into a roaring wave. The twins continued to feed off the energy, moving faster, with boldness chasing away any remnants of doubt left lingering in their hearts, yet, Emma felt a gnawing worry as she glanced toward the sponsors who still wore expressions of disbelief. Did they see the beauty of this moment? Did they understand the story? But it was too late to falter now. With a deep breath, she locked her focus back on Grace, grounding herself in the rhythm and strength they shared. They finished with a flourish, hearts racing, breathless and flushed with exhilaration. The auditorium erupted into applause, a symphony of appreciation that swelled in the air around them. The twins bowed deeply, allowing the applause to wrap around them like a warm blanket, but as the cheers faded, Emma caught sight of the three sponsors, conferring together, brows knitting in concern. It dawned on her that while the audience was moved, the true test lay in reaching those who had remained blind to their world. As they stepped off the stage, a rush of adrenaline surged through Emma's veins. "What now?" Grace asked, breathless but wide-eyed. Emma took a moment, feeling the uncertainty wash over her. They had scratched the surface, yet the real conversation lingered in the distance. "Now, we talk," Emma said, determination blending with hesitation. "We need to make sure they hear us." Gathering her courage, Emma led the way back towards the sponsors, who were already chatting among themselves. The weight of the moment pressed against her chest, and she could feel her heart thumping louder with each step. "Excuse me," she said, her voice steady and unwavering. Their eyes turned toward her, surprise evident in their expressions, but before she could continue, a tall woman in a designer dress interrupted, her eyes narrowing. "What do you want?" Emma's breath caught in her throat. Was it possible? Were they really willing to listen? As the tension crackled in the air between them, a belief pushed its way into her heart. The twins were about to expose their truth to a world that needed to hear it. And in that suspenseful moment, a new opportunity loomed on the horizon. Would this mark the beginning of a deeper understanding, or would they continue to overlook the voices that mattered? Emma and Grace steadied themselves against the tide of the unknown, ready to step into a new chapter, one that could change everything. The moment hung heavy in the air. Emma swallowed hard, feeling the weight of all their dreams perched precariously on the precipice of a single response. She squared her shoulders and took a step forward, the spotlight still warming her skin. "We just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to perform," Emma began, her voice stronger than she'd expected. "But we also wanted to share something important." The sponsors exchanged glances, the designer woman's expression shifting from skepticism to genuine curiosity. This was their chance. Grace stepped in, her eyes sparkling with determination. "We've spent our lives practicing and perfecting our craft because dance is not just what we do. It's our way of communicating our experiences, our struggles. We want to show that everyone has a story worth hearing." The tall woman arched an eyebrow, intrigued. "And what story is that?" Emma felt a jolt of emotion surge through her. "A story of resilience. Our family has faced hardships, loss, uncertainty, but we found strength in each other and in our art. This isn't just a performance for us, it's a reflection of who we are and what we've been through." She could see the crowd had grown quieter, hanging on their words. Grace pressed on, "We're not just two girls dancing on a stage. We represent so many other voices that often go unheard. We want to inspire others to share their stories, just like we did tonight." "Are you saying you want a platform?" one of the other sponsors asked, a hint of skepticism still lurking in her voice. "Yes," Emma replied. "Not just for us, but for everyone who feels like their voice doesn't matter. We can collaborate, create workshops, bring communities together. Dance has the power to connect us all." The room buzzed with a mix of inspiration and disbelief. Emma's heart raced. She knew they were pushing boundaries, but this was what they had rehearsed for. But then, the designer woman stepped forward, arms crossed. "And why should we invest our resources in your vision? What's in this for us?" Emma searched her mind for the right response. "Because change is powerful when it starts small, and we can make a real impact. Can't you feel it in the room?" This isn't just about you or us, it's about creating a community that thrives. Grace's eyes sparkled as if a light bulb had gone off. Imagine inviting people, opening doors, and sharing their stories through dance. It's not just a performance, it's a revolution. The silence that followed felt electrifying. Emma could see the wheels turning in the sponsors' heads. Her gut twisted with hope and fear. Would they see the potential? Suddenly, the tall woman broke into a small smile, but then she quickly masked it. You girls have guts. I'll give you that. Let us see if you can actually deliver on this. Wait! Emma exclaimed, her heart pounding. What if we show you, not just tell you? The atmosphere shifted. The potential for something bigger hung tantalizingly in the air. Everyone seemed on the edge of a new beginning. Okay, the woman said slowly, a spark of intrigue lighting her eyes. You have 1 month to prove it. But know this: if you fail, you may not get another chance. Emma and Grace exchanged a stunned glance. Deal, they said in unison, their hearts pounding with determination. As they stepped back, the applause faded into silence again, but for the twins, the sound of possibility rang loudly in their ears. This was it. They were now standing on the cusp of something transformative, a chance to build a bridge to the world. But as they left the auditorium, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of weighty doubt now surfacing. Could they really make this happen? Would their own dreams slip through their fingers like grains of sand? With their spirits soaring but the fear of failure just beneath the surface, they knew the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. Would they rise to the occasion, or would the tide of reality sweep them back into obscurity? Only one thing was certain. The next month would test them in ways they never anticipated. Would they prevail, or find themselves lost once again? The next morning felt surreal. Emma's alarm blared, cutting through a silence thick with anticipation. She glanced at Grace, still half asleep, her brown curls splayed across the pillow like a halo. They had a daunting challenge ahead, and each tick of the clock felt magnified. Hey, wake up! Emma nudged her sister gently. We have work to do. Yawning, Grace stretched, her eyes flickering open. What time is it? Too early, Emma replied, grinning. But we have a month to create a whole movement. We need to start planning. The twins grabbed breakfast, 2 last sandwiches, a mix of peanut butter and jelly that had become their quick staple. They savored every bite, knowing it fueled more than just their bodies, it fueled their dreams. After breakfast, they spread their vision across the dining room table. Sketches, notes, and quotes from their favorite dancers were scattered like confetti, each piece holding a spark of inspiration. Grace started jotting down ideas. What if we include a community dance event? We could invite local performers, too. Definitely. Emma felt the excitement swelling. It'll show that everyone has something to contribute. Dance should be for everyone. With their plan taking shape, they decided to head to the community center for their first strategy meeting. The energy in the air felt electric as they entered. People milled about, chatting and laughing. It was a space where they always felt welcome, but now it felt like home in a new way. As they set up for their meeting, the twins noticed a group of familiar faces. A few of their dance classmates had come to support them, and with a quick glance exchanged, an idea sparked between them. Let us ask them to help, said Grace, her face lighting up. They can share their stories too. Emma nodded vigorously. Yes. This isn't just about us, it's about everyone. Once seated, they faced their classmates, bursting with passion. We're starting something big, Emma announced, heart racing. We have a month to prove ourselves. We want to showcase each other's journeys through dance. One classmate, Mia, had a thoughtful look. What's your vision? How can we help? We need to create a performance that tells our stories, Grace said. A platform for everyone to shine. A hush fell over the group. Then Mia spoke up. I have an idea. What if we make a video invite? Like a mini documentary about our experiences and why this matters. Love it, Emma replied, her heart pounding with excitement. That could reach so many people. The conversation flowed as they brainstormed ideas, each contribution building the framework of something beautiful. They talked, laughed, and started sketching out not just a performance, but a whole movement. After hours of planning, a buzz of excitement filled the room. Ideas were swirling, but Emma felt a tight knot in her stomach. It was exhilarating but also overwhelming. The reality of their deadline loomed larger. Could they really pull this off? What if it wasn't good enough? As the classmates began to leave, Grace caught Emma's eye. "We can do this, right?" she asked, a hint of vulnerability in her voice. They both knew that this journey was not just about the final performance, it was about revealing their hearts to the world. "Yeah," Emma replied, her voice steady but soft. "We have to trust ourselves. If we can share our stories, others will too." Before they parted ways, Mia turned back to them. "Don't forget, this is about connection. Dance is our voice. It'll be amazing." A wave of encouragement rippled through Emma. With a renewed sense of purpose, she already started envisioning how it would all come together, but the uncertainty still nagged at her. What if their dreams hinged on this shaky foundation? What if this journey led them to a deeper truth they weren't ready to face? As the sun began to set, casting long shadows over the city, Emma took a deep breath. This was only the beginning. They had come too far to turn back now. But could their hearts endure what was yet to come? With hope and fear intertwining, one thought echoed loudly, would they take that leap into the unknown, or be paralyzed by the possibility of failure? Emma and Grace walked home under the fading light, the weight of their dreams hanging in the air between them. The community center buzzed with potential, but the prospect of turning their ideas into reality felt more daunting than ever. The laughter of their classmates still echoed in Emma's ears, but it twisted into a knot of anxiety that tightened around her heart. What if we really can't do it? Emma blurted out, the worry spilling over. What if we fail? Grace, sensing her sister's tension, placed her hand on Emma's shoulder. Hey, remember why we started this? It's about sharing our stories. Even if it doesn't go perfectly, it'll still mean something. Emma nodded, but the doubts lingered like a fog. They reached their front porch and sunk onto the steps, looking out into their quiet street. Neighbors went about their routines, laughter spilling from a barbecue, kids riding bikes, a dog barking at a passing squirrel. Life pulsed around them, a sharp contrast to the turmoil swirling inside. Maybe we just need to start small. Grace suggested, her voice soft but resolute. What if we showcase our performances at the school talent show next week first? It could be a way to get our feet wet before the big event. Emma considered it. Like a warm-up? Exactly. Grace brightened. We could see how our classmates react, what works, and what doesn't. It'll be an important step, even if it's not the big show we're aiming for. With the idea taking shape in Emma's mind, a spark of excitement began to flicker again. Let us do it, she affirmed, a new determination rising within her. Together, they climbed back indoors, ready to sketch out routines, to practice and refine. As they shuffled through their belongings, Emma found a notebook tucked away under a pile of dance shoes. Flipping it open, she came across pages filled with ideas, sketches of movements, and snippets of lyrics. Her heart leapt. Look! She exclaimed, showing it to Grace. These are from last summer. Maybe we can use some of these for the talent show. Perfect. Grace beamed, her eyes brightening. We can blend the old with the new, make something fresh. The kitchen filled with laughter as they began piecing together a mini routine, their creative energy clashing and dancing like wildfire ideas. The rhythms and movements splashed across the floor, brightening their spirits with every step, but amid the fun, a nagging worry crept back into Emma's thoughts. What if a smaller performance didn't measure up? What if everyone saw them for who they were, the twins without the spotlight? What if they let everyone down again? Later that night, as they prepared for bed, Emma lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The sound of Grace's even breathing nearby offered comfort, but her mind swirled with questions. Did they have what it took to transform their ideas into something real? Was the fear of failure more frightening than the actual act of taking that leap? The next morning came far too quickly. Emma could feel the butterflies in her stomach dance in sync with her racing thoughts. They had barely made it through the door of the school before they stumbled upon Mia, her bright smile instantly lifting the lingering weight. "Hey, what are you two up to?" Mia asked, eyes wide with curiosity. "We want to perform at the talent show," Grace exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. Mia clapped her hands together. "That's amazing. I have a few ideas. You know, I could help film the whole thing. A documentary of sorts, right?" In that moment, Emma felt a rush of warmth. Maybe they weren't alone in this after all. Maybe others believed in their vision too. But the question loomed in her mind: would they be ready to share their stories with the world, or would the fear of judgment hold them back? As they stood together, a sense of camaraderie blossomed around them, filled with possibilities. And as Emma looked into Mia's encouraging eyes, she knew they were about to take a leap. Would it be enough to land them on solid ground, or would it leave them falling into the unknown? Emma paced back and forth in their small bedroom, her heart racing. The talent show was just a week away, and every day felt like a new layer of pressure. With Grace scribbling ideas and lyrics, it was hard to not get swept up in the enthusiasm. But the shadows of self-doubt kept creeping back. Should we really do that move during the performance? Emma asked, eyeing the corner of the room where Grace practiced her pirouette. What if everyone thinks it's silly? Grace paused, spinning to face Emma with a raised eyebrow. You mean the move we've worked on all week? It'll be amazing. Look, everyone doubted their ideas at first. It's part of the process. We're doing this together. Emma sighed, knowing Grace was right. But it didn't stop the knot in her stomach from tightening. They had always complemented each other. Grace's bubbly confidence matched Emma's cautious nature, and together they balanced each other well. Yet, all that comfort sometimes felt like a safety net that Emma couldn't shake off. Meanwhile, Mia had become their unexpected ally. She showed up with new filming equipment and enthusiasm. Imagine the responses. People love seeing real stories, she exclaimed, adjusting the tripod in the living room. Emma felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was more than just a performance. Maybe it could be about connection, storytelling. But alongside hope, anxiety clung tightly. As they practiced each day, Emma found herself fixating on potential blunders. Halfway through a routine, she stumbled and fell to the floor, embarrassment flooding her cheeks. Grace rushed over, concern etched on her face. Are you okay? She asked, helping Emma back up. Emma felt hot tears pricking at her eyes. What if I can't do this? What if I ruin everything? We're supposed to be good. Grace shook her head, stepping closer. It doesn't matter if it's perfect, it's about us being brave enough to show up. Remember our first dance class? We stumbled, but we learned. This will be the same. Just keep dancing. Their rehearsals morphed into something more than practice. They were exploring, creating, pushing through discomfort. It was exhilarating yet terrifying. Emma started to lean into the possibility of failure, allowing it to coexist with her aspirations. One afternoon, Mia captured the twins dancing in the living room, the sunlight pouring through the window. Each twirl and leap filled the air with a sweetness that tasted like freedom. Emma laughed, the sound bright and infectious, rich with possibility. See? Mia cheered. This is magic. You guys are unbeatable when you're in harmony. In that moment, Emma caught a glimpse of something true. Perhaps sharing their story would charm others in ways they couldn't imagine. As each day passed, the energy surrounding their preparation transformed into something vibrant, uplifting, but that night, as she lay in bed, Emma turned anxiously. What if the audience didn't see what she saw? What if they laughed at them? An overwhelming sense of dread washed over her, making her heart race all over again. It was moments like these that knotted Emma's stomach tightly, making her second-guess everything. And just as she started to drift off to sleep, a thought cut through her. What if vulnerability was the key? Maybe in sharing their fears, they could discover a freedom that would light the way. The next day held promise. They would practice one more time before the talent show, but Emma couldn't shake the dawning realization that standing on that stage might mean confronting her deepest fears head-on. And what would that look like? Would it be terrifying, exhilarating, or a combination of both? As they prepared to step onto that stage, Emma knew the moment of truth was right around the corner. Emma stood in front of the mirror, her reflection staring back at her with an intensity she didn't recognize. Beneath the glow of the warm bathroom light, she could see the shimmer of excitement mixed with the undercurrents of fear. Today would determine everything. Today was dress rehearsal. Grace burst into the room, her red lipstick bright and her hair bouncing with each step. Are you ready? We have to leave soon. The others are already there. Emma swallowed hard. I'm almost done. She tried to focus on her own voice but felt the tide of doubt overwhelming her again. What if she forgot the steps? What if the audience didn't react? What if hey? Grace placed her hands on Emma's shoulders. You've got this. Remember, it's not just about the moves. It's about telling our story. Emma searched Grace's eyes, looking for the strength she often saw there. It was true, this was their chance to share something meaningful. They weren't just performers, they were sisters, friends, and partners in this venture. That thought brought a flicker of warmth to mix with her anxiety. As they made their way to the community center, Emma took in the familiar streets of their neighborhood. Sunny, lined with cherry blossom trees, the petals danced in the breeze like tiny fairies. Emma inhaled deeply, trying to soak in the moment, but her heart still pounded as they entered the building. Inside, the energy buzzed with excitement and chatter. Other performers practiced their acts, and the sound of music floated through the air. It all made Emma's heart race faster. Mia greeted them, her camera slung around her neck. You two are going to blow everyone away. Let's just get through it, Emma muttered, squeezing Grace's hand as they stepped into the designated practice area. They started rehearsing, but Emma's mind felt like a whirlwind. Every motion felt heavier, and her feet were glued to the ground. Grace called out reminders, but Emma's concentration faltered. After another misstep, she finally stopped. Frustration bubbled up, and she threw her arms up. I can't do this. What if the performance is a disaster? Grace's expression softened, and she approached Emma carefully. It's okay to be scared. Do you remember that time we almost gave up in dance class just because we couldn't get a routine right? Emma nodded, recalling the laughter and tears that night, and how they ended up just having fun instead of worrying about being perfect. Let us do that again, Grace suggested. Forget about the audience right now. Just be us. Let us dance like nobody is watching. The words hit Emma like a cool breeze, washing away some of her tension. So, they moved. They spun and twirled, letting the music take control. There were mistakes, but they laughed through them. For a brief moment, all that existed was their rhythm, their connection, and the joy of simply expressing themselves. When they finished, breathless and giggling, Emma felt lighter. See? That's the magic, Em. It's about embracing who we are, Grace said with a beam on her face. Suddenly, Mia burst through the door, her excitement palpable. Okay, girls, it's time. You're on in 5 minutes. Emma's stomach dropped. The once welcoming atmosphere turned into an echo chamber of uncertainty. As they gathered backstage, Emma felt a knot tightening again. What if everything they practiced and laughed over crumbled in front of everyone? But then she caught Grace's eye. There was a confidence radiating from her sister that she hoped to mirror, and just as the announcer began to call their names, Emma took a deep breath, remembering the warmth of the sun, the laughter in the practice space, and the bond they shared. Perhaps, in this moment of vulnerability, they would find their courage to shine. "Ready?" Grace whispered. Emma nodded, her heart pounding in anticipation but also a little lighter. "Let us do this." But what Emma didn't expect was what happened when they stepped onto that stage. Would the performance change everything they believed about themselves? The curtain billowed before them, a heavy, expansive shroud that seemed to hush the world outside. Emma's stomach somersaulted as she stepped forward, feeling every pulse in her body vibrate with electrifying energy. The spotlight hit them like a warm embrace, illuminating their faces and transforming nervousness into a flicker of excitement. As they shifted their weight, Emma felt the floor beneath her feet, the sturdy wooden stage that had witnessed countless performances, filled with laughter, tears, and everything in between. She glanced at Grace, who looked ready for anything with a fire in her eyes. The music began to swell, filling every crevice of the space. They took a collective breath, letting the rhythm sink into their bones. Then, they started to move. With the first step, Emma's heart soared. The words Grace had spoken earlier echoed in her mind, allowing her to focus. This was their dance, their story. With each twirl and leap, the surrounding noise faded into a soft murmur, grounding her. She caught glimpses of the audience faces lit with anticipation, smiles forming as they watched. It felt like they were sharing a secret, but then, just as they reached the crescendo of their performance, something happened. Emma stumbled unexpectedly on a miscalculated step, feeling the world tilt as she faltered. Panic surged through her, the lightness evaporating. The music kept playing, but her heart dropped like a stone. Grace caught her with one arm, spinning them both around as if rescuing Emma from her gravity. They flowed seamlessly back into the choreography like it had been rehearsed that way. Relief washed over Emma as she regained her footing, the sound of laughter from the audience replacing her fright. They hadn't noticed the mistake, instead, they found joy in the moment. The final notes rang out, and they struck their closing pose, bodies bent at angles that felt powerful yet free. Cheers erupted, applause folding over them like a warm cocoon. Emma looked out into the faces, and she felt something shift inside her. This was more than just dancing, it was about connection, resilience, and sharing a piece of their souls with the world. Grace clasped Emma's hand tightly, their hearts beating in sync. It was alchemical. They knew this moment would change everything. As they exited the stage, exhilaration crashed over them like a wave. Mia was waiting, eyes sparkling, her camera already poised. "You two were incredible. I could feel the energy radiating from you." "Thanks." Emma beamed, lifting her arms in a stretch. "I can't believe we did that." But before they could celebrate too long, a commotion started in the corner of the community center. A group of people gathered, eyes wide, pointing toward the entrance. Emma and Grace exchanged curious looks, drawn towards the spectacle. "What is going on over there?" Grace asked, eyebrows raised. As they approached, Emma could make out figures in suits, along with a handful of town officials. They huddled close to a shiny, black SUV parked out front. The atmosphere thickened with tension, whispers swirling around about auditions, talent scouts, and opportunities beyond their small town. "Did you hear that?" Mia said, excitement bubbling. "They're looking for performances for next season's festival. This is huge." Emma's heart raced again, but this time it was excitement intertwined with disbelief. Could this really be the start of something more? But before Emma could process everything, Grace tugged her sleeve. What if this could be our shot?" The two girls stood in the shadows, the realization dawning that this might just be the beginning of an unexpected journey. And as the crowd continued to buzz around the SUV, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that whatever came next could change the course of their lives forever. What if this performance was just the first step toward a new adventure? The crowd was a mass of curious faces, each person leaning in, eager for a glimpse of what could be their chance for greatness. Emma felt a thrill coursing through her veins, an electric mix of fear and anticipation. Could this be their chance? Grace looked determined. We have to get closer, Em. Who knows what this could lead to? With a nod, Emma followed her friend, pushing through the throng of people. Each step felt heavier with hope. They crept to the edge of the group, trying to catch snippets of conversation mingled with the excitement. I heard they're famous. Someone whispered. They've scouted talent in New York and L.A. Just then, one of the suited figures turned, revealing her striking blue hair and a confident demeanor. Emma's heart skipped. This was Casey, a well-known talent scout who had discovered some of the biggest names in the industry. The rumors made sense now. This is it, Grace whispered, her breath catching. We need to show them what we've got. Emma's insides twisted at the thought. Just moments ago, they were basking in the glow of their victory, and now they were faced with an opportunity that could lead straight to the stars or to heartbreak. What if we aren't good enough? Emma hesitated, her excitement tinged with a familiar wave of self-doubt. Grace turned, her eyes fierce. We are good enough. We just need to believe that. Remember what we did on stage? That was us being our true selves. Let us take this leap together. Emma felt the warmth of her friend's conviction seep into her soul. It was now or never. Taking a deep breath, she lifted her chin and clasped Grace's hand tightly. All right, let us do this. They squeezed through the crowd until they stood just in front of Casey. The energy buzzed around them like static electricity. Emma glanced at Grace, who nodded encouragingly, and without hesitation, they broke into an impromptu dance. The music began in Emma's mind, every move a blend of their perfected choreography and the pure joy of spontaneity. They danced like they weren't just in a parking lot surrounded by curious onlookers but on a grand stage. Emma spotted the faces of those who had cheered for them earlier. They were watching now, some amazed, others grinning widely. That a few moments into their performance, Emma noticed Casey's expression shift. It was no longer just a passive observer but someone engaged, someone intrigued. The crowd started to cheer, some clapping along with the rhythm they created, creating a symphony of encouragement, but as they reached the climax of their routine, Emma felt a flicker of doubt creep in. What if this moment wasn't what they wanted it to be? Visions of failure flashed through her mind, and she faltered slightly, just like she had on stage moments before. Grace, sensing her hesitation, spun elegantly into a move that brought them back together, their bodies moving in sync. Emma caught the fire in Grace's eyes and raged against her doubts. She tightened her grip and let the music take over again. As they landed their final pose, out of breath and hearts pounding, the crowd erupted into applause. Emma glanced at Grace, and they both felt it, the rush of adrenaline mixed with the thrill of hope. In that moment, Casey took a step forward, her face alight with excitement. Wow! I'd like to speak to you both. Let us talk about possibilities. Emma's heart slammed in her chest. This was it, the moment they had been waiting for. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, a loud crash echoed from the street. Everyone turned, confusion taking over the moment. A sleek black car had skidded to a stop, its rear bumper smoking. The cheers faded as heads turned in shock. Who could that be? Grace whispered, her gaze darting back and forth. Emma felt her stomach twist with both intrigue and concern. What could this new development mean for them? Looks like we're in for more than just a conversation, Emma said, eyes glued to the unfolding scene. The night was far from over. As the crowd gasped, a tall figure emerged from the smoking vehicle, a sense of urgency radiating from him. Emma's heartbeat quickened. What now? Her focus shifted from the excitement of the audience to the unknown man who seemed to command attention effortlessly. Grace squeezed her hand tightly. Do you think this is part of the show? She whispered in disbelief. No way, Emma replied, her voice a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The crowd shifted, murmurs rippled through the air. People leaned into one another, attempting to decipher the sudden spectacle. The tension was palpable. The tall man adjusted his jacket and stepped forward, raising a hand for silence. The wow factor crashed into tension. Eyes darted between him and the gathering audience. "I apologize for the interruption," he announced in a booming voice. "I'm here for the talent audition." The murmurs intensified. He continued, "But I hear there is something special happening here." He pointed at Emma and Grace, catching them off guard. "The two dancers. I want to see what you truly have." A mixture of excitement and dread swirled in Emma's gut. Did he really mean it? Her mind raced the weeks of practice, the courage they mustered to perform, and now this. What was happening? Grace's eyes sparkled with hope. "This is it," she said, barely containing her excitement. Emma locked eyes with Grace, her heart fluttering. "Are we really going to do this?" The weight of their past washed over her, the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, the struggles, the moments that brought them here. It felt like theirs was a story stitched together with hopes and fears, and now, it could possibly unfold into something more. "Yes!" Grace exclaimed, her determination spilling over. "We've come this far, we can't stop now." Taking a deep breath, they stepped forward, feeling the expectations of the crowd weigh against their shoulders. They exchanged one last glance of silent support, and the music streamed through Emma's mind, a familiar comfort. With the spotlight brightening, they leaped into action again. Every move felt like a second chance, a connection deeper than the first performance, richer than anything they had shared before. They twirled and spiraled, pouring every ounce of emotion into their dance, letting their movements speak of resilience and love. The audience wasn't just watching, they were witnessing an awakening. Emma could see parents nodding and young teens swaying to the rhythm. Even Casey's expression shifted from curiosity to admiration. This was their moment, a chance to transform everything, to show their strength, to share their truth. And just like that, as they closed in on their final pose, the noise around them erupted into a raucous cheer. The crowd stood in awe, clapping and whistling, filling the air with encouragement. Emma felt a surge of joy wash over her as she and Grace shared a beaming smile, hearts open wide. As the applause echoed, the tall man moved closer, his eyes glinting. "You two, you're special." Emma and Grace exchanged amazed looks, reality crashing into them. "I think I have a role for you in an upcoming showcase. You've both got something that needs to be shared." Murmurs of disbelief turned to shouts of affirmation, and Emma couldn't hold back the tears that danced on the brink of her lashes. This was more than they had ever dreamed. The weeks of worries, the hunger and loneliness, all of it had led them here. "Are you serious?" Grace's voice trembled with excitement. "Absolutely." He smiled, genuine. "Let us turn those stories into something beautiful." The moment hung in the air. It wasn't just about the roles or the spotlight. It was about sharing their journey, their strength, their community. As the crowd continued to celebrate, Emma and Grace locked eyes, a powerful understanding coursing through their bond. They had dared to be vulnerable, to break down the walls that held them captive, and what emerged was nothing less than a beautiful transformation. They stepped forward again, this time embraced in the warmth of the community they inspired, pulsating with potential. And as the stars began to twinkle overhead, they knew that against all odds, they would turn this chance into something much greater. Tonight, they had truly begun to dance their story. If this journey ignited inspiration within you, subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Share your reactions and feelings about this ending in the comments below. This is the moment to show your support. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.